Colby, math.com.
We're multiplying fractions and mixed numbers on this video. Here we have 2/3 multiplied by 6 3/5. The first thing I want to talk about is a lot of times when students are multiplying fractions, they feel like they need a common denominator, and you don't. Remember, common denominators are used to create like terms. If we look at this expression, how many terms are in this expression? Remember that terms are separated by addition and subtraction. If terms are separated by addition and subtraction, there's only one term here. So you don't need like terms if you only have one term. You just need to multiply. In other words, if I had half of 3/5, I just have 1/2 multiplied by 3 1/5. So a half of a fifth is a tenth, and 1 multiplied by 3 is 3. You just multiply across. But the reason you multiply across is because if you expand the expression, it looks like this. You have 3 of a half of a fifth, so you have 3 tenths, which is just 3 tenths. So typically we will convert our mixed numbers to improper fractions, look for opportunities to simplify the expression, and then multiply. So in this case, we have 2/3 multiplied by 6 is 30/5, because every whole is 5/5, and I have 6 5/5. Every whole is 5/5, and so if I have 6 wholes, I have 6 5/5. That's 30/5. Plus I had 3 more fifths, so that's going to be 33/5. We typically do 5 multiplied by 6 is 30, plus 3 is 33. But the reason we do that is because 1 is equal to 5/5. 2 would be twice as many, so 10/5. 6 would be 6 5/5 or 30/5. So you add the 30/5 to the 3/5 and you get 33/5. We're going to I'm just going to multiply across first, and then we'll talk about opportunities to simplify. 2 multiplied by 33 is 66. 3 multiplied by 5 is 15. But what I could have done is, since we're just going to multiply, you can always expand or look for factors. 33 is 3 multiplied by 11. And so the 3's cancel because 3/3 is 1 whole. And so we could have done that here. 33 divided by 3 is 11. 3 divided by 3 is 1. And so 2 times 11 is 22. 1 multiplied by 5 is 5. If we simplify here by dividing 66 and 15 by the common factor of 3, we'll end up at 22/5. And then that's an improper fraction, so we need to express that as a mixed number. That's 20/5 and 2/5. 20/5 is 4 wholes, so 4 and 2/5 would be the answer, or the product here in simplest form. One thing I want to mention is we'll typically convert to improper fractions, simplify, and then multiply as we did here. But keep your eye out for some opportunities, because if I look back at this expression, 2/3 multiplied by 6 3/5. 6 3/5 is exactly the way it sounds. It's 6 3/5. Well, what's a third of 6? A third of 6 is 2. So 2/3 of 6 must be 4. If I take 2/3 of 6, that's just 4. If I take a third of 3/5, it's 1/5. If 3/5 is just 3 of something, 3/5 is like 3 apples. But I don't have 3 apples, I have 3 1/5. So if I have 3 of something, 2/3 of it would be 2 of that same thing, right? So 2/3 of 3/5 is just 2/5. So you can use a distribution method in some cases. It's actually easier. It just requires you to first think about the values and see whether that opportunity is there. In this problem we have 2 mixed numbers. You're really very rarely, in fact I can't think of an instance where you would want to distribute here, and I'll show you why. 2 and 2/3 multiplied by 1 and 1/5. In order to properly distribute, if we're using a distribution method here, we do 2 multiplied by 1 plus 2 multiplied by 1/5, and then we need to distribute this term to both of these terms, plus 2/3 multiplied by 1 plus 2/3 multiplied by 1/5. A mistake students will often make is multiply 2 by 1 and multiply 2/3 by 1/5, but that's only taking these into account. That's not including these terms in your product, and so that's incorrect. So the safest bet when you're dealing with mixed numbers especially is to convert these to improper fractions. So 3 2s is 6 plus 2 is 8. So 2 and 2/3 is 8/3. We know 2 wholes is 6/3 plus 2 more thirds is 8/3. And 1 and 1/5 is, we know 1 is 5/5 plus 1 more fifth is 6/5. Now that's going to be much easier to work with. Now I can just look for opportunities to simplify. The 6 and the 3 have a common factor of 3. So I can do 3 divided by 3 is 1, 6 divided by 3 is 2. That's the same as just recognizing that 6/3 is 2 wholes. So I've simplified that 6/3 before I multiply. And so now we can multiply. 8 multiplied by 2 is 16. 1 multiplied by 5 is 5. 16/5 is an improper fraction, so you're dividing 16 by 5 to get your mixed number. There are 3 5s in 16. 3 multiplied by 5 is 15. You have a remainder of 1, and since we're dividing by 5, we're counting fifths. So I have 3 and 1/5. Let's check if that's reasonable. 2 and 2/3 is close to 3. 1 and 1/5 is close to 1, and 3 multiplied by 1 is 3. And our product is pretty close to 3. Okay, so I hope that helps with multiplying fractions and mixed numbers. There's lots of practice below the video, and I appreciate you taking the extra time to work on this skill.